All right, guys, this is the second most anticipated video. Man, okay. So now we're doing the assembly. This is probably my favorite part. I've been waiting for this. Okay, so a x86 architecture assembly language program that implements the following instructions. So we're gonna start slowly but surely. Prompt the user for a number. Recall the use of printf and scanf. Prompt the user for a number. So we want to prompt the user for a number. We don't know what number he's going to put. Therefore, we're going to need to put it in the section for the BSS. We got to reserve some space. And since we want number, so let's say this is number, and we're going to give it size dB. Now, how big is the number we're expecting? It doesn't specify. Use a loop to print the word hello as many times as the user entered. There's one exception if they're on an iteration of the loop that is divisible. Yeah, like you see, use a loop to enter. Yeah, it doesn't say how many times we want to make this. And so let's see what size we're going to use here. For this goes at the res. This is what it is. And so this one we will take, I believe this fits 256 numbers. This fits 6,550, 65,553 or some shit. This one is 4,200,000,000 something. We'll take this one. Res D. Should we do res Q? We'll do res Q. Who cares? All right. Now, how many res Qs are we taking? Just one. And that's the space we need. All right. Now we want to prompt the user, recall the user of printf. So we want to now tell the user to print. Well, we got to print to the user that, hey, enter a number. And so this goes in the text. And so this will be global start. And okay. So here at the start, what do we want to do? We want to print. Before we print, what we need to do is make the string that we're printing, right? And so that will go in our section data, right? And our section data, we're gonna say the prompt, right? This is what we're gonna tell them to print, and it's a DB, and we're gonna tell them, please enter a number, or whatever. Please enter a number, all right? And this is gonna be 0. Text start. Now we gotta do the, what do you call it? The print. And so the print is right here. Rax has to be 0. And so, whoops, what happened? Okay. So move rax 0. And what else do we gotta do here? RDI, format address or string. And so we have just a string. So in the RDI, we're gonna give them the string. So move RDI. And we're gonna have the prompt, right? And then usually you'd give it some inputs for placeholders, but we don't have placeholders, so we'll just push RBX, and then we're gonna call printf, and then we're gonna pop RBX. All right, and so you see this right here, this whole section will print the prompt. So this will put here, print prompt. And what I like to do is make my code look pretty so I know the differences. So this is just to print my prompt. From here to here. That's one section of the code. Actually, I'll just put it like this. That's one section of the code, and what it does is print prompt. Ooh. There you go. So now that we printed this prompt, what we'll do is we have section, now part 2. Use a loop to print the word hello as many times as the user entered. So first, we have to see how many times the user entered. So the first thing is we can say a while true. And so how do we do a while true? First, let's compare. Now, well, we haven't even we haven't given the user where to put, right? And so we gotta give him a scanf for him to put the number, because here we just, like printed him. We told him to put something, but we didn't give him a chance to put something. So let's do that. Input prompt. This is going to be our input. And here we're going to use scanf for input. So scanf rax set to 0, returns how many times were matched. And so move rax 0. This will tell us this should turn into 1 once he puts an input, because we're only expecting 1 input. If we're expecting 2, this will change into 2. All right. And so RDI is the format of the address. And so we're going to need another format, and this is going to be input. Input format. It's going to be a DB, and then since we're taking a number, it's going to be a D, and this is a 0. All right. Now, what it says here, it says in the RDI, put the format address. So in my RDI, I'm going to put my format address, which is input format. All right. And then my first input is the RSI. So in the RSI, I'll have to put my first input. And so move RSI, and I'm going to put number. That's where I want to put my input, right? And so here, I'm going to pass in number. And then we push RBX, and we call, I know what I put here, class. It's supposed to be call scanf, and then I'm going to pop RBX. All right, now that I popped it, this is done. I got my input. It's in the number now. It's right here. This is what my input is. Whatever number he plugged in. And so my input is complete. Now that I got my input, now I got to go into the loop. Use a loop to print the word hello as many times as the user entered. So we're going to enter a loop. So here we'll do loop start. Now this is just a placeholder. It doesn't do anything. It's just a place for us to go to once we get to it. Yeah, so for the loop start, what I want to do here is, let's see. So first we have to obviously compare. What are we comparing? We have to compare and make sure that the number he entered is equivalent. Let's see. So the number we want the number he entered to be 0 when we exit, because every time we loop, we'll print hello once, then we'll decrement it once, and then we go. So let's assume this. Let's assume he put in 10. So therefore, first we want to compare the 10. We compare 10 and 0. If 10 equals 0, then we want to jump. Which one is the jump? GMP? Yeah, just GMP, I guess. Yeah, we can use this. If 10 is 0, so JZ. If JZ equals 0, we want to loop exit, because we're done, right? And so we have to create a loop exit as well. We'll do that after. One thing I want to confirm though, can I compare 10 and 0? Obviously I can't just do 10 and 0. I have to get his input, and his input is in the RSI, right? That's where his input is, and I don't change it, right? Even after the call, the RSI doesn't change. This turns into 1. Well, I know my number, so you know what I'll do? This is what I'll do. I know the number changes, right? Well, actually, no, the number doesn't change yet. Well, technically, the thing is here, technically, since I put the number address, not value, I put the number address into the RSI, then this can return the value into the address of the RSI, aka the number. So number should hold it, right? Number should hold it. And so here, my RSI would actually hold my number. But instead of doing that, since we're done here, since we're starting the loop, what I'll do outside the loop, I'll do move, right? I'm gonna move my, I'm trying to decide where I want to move it to. Let's see, if I go to my RDX, usually RDX, R10, because you see, if I don't want to use a register, then I'm gonna have to end up changing. Like an RDI, it gets used often, right? RSI gets used often. RDX, I'm gonna go with R10. Actually, I'm gonna go with R8 instead, just so it's further. So R8 is my number, so I'm gonna move into R8 my number, and now I can compare. So R8 compared to 0, we're gonna enter the loop, right? So we start the loop, and now if it's 10, let's say it's 10, it's gonna compare. Is it 0? No. Therefore, what do we do if it's not 0? It says use a loop to print hello as many times as user entered. So let's do that. So we have to do the print hello, and now we know from the print our x has to be 0, and move RDI the prompt. So we want to print hello, so we're gonna say hello db hello, right? And so here we're gonna move in hello, and after this we're gonna push rbx, and we're gonna call printf, and after that we're gonna pop rbx, and that's about it. This should print hello, right? And then so when it's 10 it's gonna print hello. Then what we're gonna want to do is decrement. What do we want to decrement is the R8. And you see, if we go here and we go to decrement, if I do decrement and I give it a register, it will -1 from it. And so this will basically keep happening until R8 becomes 0. And then when it compares, R8 is going to be 0. And so then JZ will be invoked and it will exit. Right? So this will keep printing hello, hello, hello. And so what I'm going to do here is what I want to do here. Loop start. I'm thinking of a way to make it look cleaner. That's what I want to do. And so this will stay the same. My loop start, I'll just indent it in. This is my condition, so I'll keep those separate. And this will keep looping. So then here now I want to jump. I want to jump to the loop start, right? Because if it decrements, let's say 10, it becomes 9. Now I want to jump back to the start and then do it again. And now this is 9, and it will keep going, then it goes back, right? And so that will keep going until it becomes 0, and then when it's 0, it will leave. And so when it leaves, loop, this will be a loop end. Or we named it loop exit, so for consistency, loop exit. All right, now this part for the loop exit, I want to keep it separate. Yes, I'll keep it separate like this. I'm just trying to look how I can make it look nice so it's easy to understand. If you code messy, you will literally make mistakes. Like this is spending time on making your code look pretty. You're not wasting time. You're actually saving time from debugging. Anyways, so as many times as the user entered. So this works right now, and this should print as many times as he entered. Now what it says, like, there's one exception. If there are on an iteration of the loop that is what? If there are on an iteration of the loop that is divisible by 5, instead print hello there. Okay, so what we want an if statement, basically. That's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say keep printing hello unless there's this if statement. So what I'm gonna do is down here, I don't know why I'm typing at the wrong. Like, can this come up? Jeez, there you go. This can come up now. I don't like this. Like, oh, it doesn't work. Dang, that sucks. Anyways, whatever. Okay, so what I want to do here is, because my loop start, and sorry for taking long for this question. This question should take you a while. But I'm just trying to make it so that I don't make mistakes and then have to debug. And things that can't debug, right? So, because this won't run because of the call printf. Anyways, where were we? So we want to check the iterations if it's divisible by 5. So first we want to check if my R8 is divisible by 5. And if it is divisible by 5, this is what we want to do. We're going to create here a tag or a label, and we're going to say, we're going to make this label, actually I'll make it within this code, divisible, yeah, I'll just name it divisible. And so we're going to say here, how do we check if it's divisible by 5? And so the function abstract divide, so we will divide, and RDX will hold the remainder. So when we divide these, and the RDX is 0, that means it's divisible by 5, right? And so first, let's divide. Now we know it's unsigned, so we're going to use div register, and we're going to put RDX, the number we want to divide by. And so a better way to do this is the R8. So what I want to do is first check if it's divisible by 5. So first, let's see, divisible. So I'm going to do div R8. I'm going to divide R8. Well, this divides it by Rx. So I got to put something into the Rx. And so move Rx, R8. All right. And then what I'm going to do is... Actually, do I have to do this? Yeah. All right. So now we're going to divide Rx by 5. And then here, obviously, we're going to do RDX. RDX 0. Because our RDX has to be 0. Here, holds the remainder. So I'm going to set it to 0 so I can check the remainder. Right? And so first, R8 becomes RAX. Now we divide it. Now RAX becomes the new number, which whatever it is, I don't want to hold it. I don't want to hold RAX. I don't really care about it. Right? And so what I'm going to do is simply just check the remainder. The remainder is all I care about. And so this will get me, this will check if it's divisible by 5. And I'll put that here. This movement right here will check if it's divisible by 5. Now the only thing I got to check is, have I messed up any of my registers? Now RAX I'm not using anywhere above. RDX I'm not using, am I? Let's see, RDI, RBX. You see, RDX I'm not using anywhere above. And so this is fine so far. Here I reset it, which is fine. Because after I divide, what I'm going to check is I'm going to compare. And what I'm comparing is my RAX to 0. Is my RAX 0? Right? If my RAX is 0, that's divisible by 5. So if RAX is 0, we're going to jump somewhere. So we're going to say if RAX is 0, jump to divisible. Right? So this will say if RAX, well, sorry, this is not supposed to be RAX. This is supposed to be RDX. Yeah. Because this is the remainder. If the remainder is 0, so we divide RAX by 5. If the remainder is 0, then that means it's divisible. So we're going to jump to this label. Now, in this label, what do I want to do? This is divisible. So what do I want to do? If it's divisible, so now I got to the divisible part. If there are an iteration of the loop that is divisible by 5, so we found out. Instead, print hello there. So now, if it's divisible, I'm going to print hello there. And so now, let's print hello there. And in order to print, I got to move RAX 0. Now, is me doing this going to harm my RAX? No, because it's in a loop, and every time I reset, I will restart the RAX to 0, and here I will set it to R8, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to hold it, and so that's fine. What else do I gotta do? RDI takes the input form, and so obviously I gotta create a hello there. There you go. Whoops. All right, and so for hello there, it says move RDI, give it the prompt, and so into RDI, give it the prompt, which is hello there. And after this, we want to push RBX and call print function. So push RBX, call printf, and pop RBX. Oops. There you go. This is for alignment. Okay, so now we check divisible. We print hello there if it's divisible. And then what we want to do after we've done this, we want to go back to the loop. So we're going to jump to the loop start. Right? And so there you go. This will check. So recapping the code, this will compare R8 to 0. If R8 equals 0, then it will loop exit. If it's not 0, it will continue. Then we're going to put R8 into RAX. We're going to move RDX to 0. We're going to divide RAX by 5. Now, you might think, why did this guy move R8 to RAX? Why didn't I just put R8 in here? Now, actually, well, technically this is still wrong. Because when you divide, you don't put 2 variables, you put only 1. And so this becomes 5. And so you see now what I'm doing, if I go back to my notes, and you see right here, divisible is RAX by default. It says RAX equals RAX divided by the register. So divisible by 5, we're going to take 10 divided by 5. That gives us what? Remainder of, so 10 divided by 5, remainder of, it gives you 2, remainder of 0. So then racks becomes 2, and then your remainder becomes 0, right? And so the thing is, if I did, what is it? So see, now this is right. So far, this is good. We're dividing by 5 and we're checking that. And the reason I put this R8 into racks, because obviously I'm trying to divide racks by 5 or R8 by 5. But I can't do, that's not valid for div. You can only divide by the racks. And so that's why I moved it in. Anyways, so now I divided by 5. Now I'm comparing my RDX. If the remainder is 0, that means JS is divisible, and it's going to jump to the divisible and print hello there instead. Okay? And then after it prints hello there, I'll go back to the start. But the thing is, it doesn't increment. Does that count as a 1, like I printed hello there, does that count? Obviously it does. And so what we're gonna have to increment. Decrement. And so we're gonna need to decrement our R8. How are we gonna accomplish that? We just do decrement R8. And that's about it. Now it decrements. It goes back to the loop start, and it goes again. Is it divisible? No. Then it goes move racks, do everything, call, print, pop, decrement R8, loop start, go again, check. Okay, and so we finish this. Count the number of times hello there is printed using a counter. That one's pretty easy. All we gotta do is initiate something and increment it. So up here, let me initiate. So I'm gonna move. Which one do you want to use? Let's see. Which one's getting my counter? R9? I'll use R9 as my counter. Right. So now I'm putting 0 into my R9, and that's my counter. Now, should I put these in my data? So should I put the variable here? We'll do it at the end. We'll do it at the end. We'll worry about the logic right now, and we'll do that at the end. Okay. So that we initialize this now. Where is it? Sorry. Where did I initialize it? Jeez. I got lost in my code. See, that's why I keep it clean. See, now I got R9, and that's my counter. So here, this is counter. And so what I'm going to do here is increment R9. So every time it runs this and prints hello there, it will increment R9. And that will count how many times we print R there. After exiting the loop, print the number of hello there's that were printed. And so now after we get to here, what we want to do is print. And so we're going to move racks 0, and then we're going to create a format here. And so this is going to be counter db. I'll make it look fancy. Alright. Oops. Alright. And so what we want to do here is hello there is printed using a counter. Count the number after exiting the loop, print the number of hello there's that were printed. And so now that we got racks, we know we can use this template, but we have actually, our template is a little bit different because we have a placeholder. And so we'll refer to this instead. RDX is 0, that's always mostly the case if it's a float. RDI is the format address. So RDI, the format, which is, what did I name it? Counter. Right? And then the placeholder, which is RSI. Now move RSI. And then this takes the R9, I believe, because that's my counter. Format address, the placeholder. Yeah, R9 would be my placeholder. So I'll be taking R9 value, putting it into the RSI. And what else here? So this will print it technically, the number. Well, I'm not done here yet. Here we'll do push RBX. And then we're gonna call printf. And we're gonna pop RBX. Alright? And now we've done this. For example, if the user enters 13, the following would be the output. The thing is, we can't really check this output. I'm gonna pass it to chat and see what chat says. Let's copy this. Let's print it here. Hey, yo, chat. Let's see if there's any issues with our code. Yeah, you can enhance readability and ability. If user enters 13, what is the output according to that code. Ooh, there's something wrong. The code prompts the user to enter a number. The user enters 13. The code checks if 13 is divisible by 5. Since it's not, it prints hello. And then it decrements the number by 1, making it 12, and jumps back to if 12 is divisible by 5. Wait. Oh, yeah. So print hello. Then it decrements by 1. And then 12. Since 12 is not divisible by 5, it prints hello again. This process continues until the number reaches 0. Yeah, so when it reaches 10, that should be divisible. So for 13, the output would be, wouldn't it have 13 outputs? And when counter is 10, it's divisible by 5? I think chat is tripping. There you go. Well, it's still missing because 5 divisible by 5. Also, when it's 5, it's divisible by 5. You're absolutely correct, bro. I am chat, bro. I am chat. Where's my hello there? What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to send this code to, what's his name? Mr. Jeez, I forgot the man's name. Oh, Mr. Rapos. Yes, Dr. Rapos. I'll have to send him the code and see what he says. Thank you guys for watching. Hope this helped. Sorry if I made mistakes. Let me know if you see any mistakes in the code, and we'll see how it goes. I did forget one important part real quick. Don't forget that you gotta move your Rex to 60, and you gotta move your RDX, I believe, to 0, and then you gotta sysfile to end your program.